I'm Hia, and I'll be introducing the book The Unusual Billionaires and the First Theme Greatness. The book is written by Saurabh Mukherjee, a well known investor and author of books like Coffee Can Investing and Diamonds in the Dust. In The Unusual Billionaires, he studies seven exceptional Indian companies that have consistently created wealth over long periods, not because they were in attractive industries, but because of clean governance, focused execution, and strong competitive advantages. Can we move to the next slide? The author believes that greatness is not about growing fast for a few years. Instead, it is about delivering sustained growth while maintaining long term profitability. Truly great companies are those that build competitive advantages while continue to strengthen over decades. Next slide, please. To identify such companies, the author used a very strict screening process over rolling 10-year periods. For non-financial companies, he looked for more than 10% revenue growth and more than 15% ROCE every single year. For financial companies, the filters were loan book growth above 15% and ROE above 15%. These parameters were chosen because revenue or loan growth reflects the ability to consistently expand the business, while ROCE and ROE indicate disciplined capital allocation and value creation. Very few companies were able to deliver both consistently over an entire decade. These companies then formed the Coffee Can portfolio, where the idea is simple: identify businesses with consistently strong fundamentals and hold them for 10 years without making changes. The author's backtesting showed that this disciplined approach generated superior long term returns. I would now like to pass on the slide to Pal.
Hello everyone, today I will be explaining about the most important lessons from the unusual billionaire, that is focus on the core business. The main philosophy here is the master the core before chasing the growth. Many companies try to grow by entering into different industries too early, but the companies discussed in the book first becomes expert in one business, that is one sector, before expanding. The first principle is mastering the business one business model. A company should build deep operational expertise, create a strong competitive advantage, and become a leader in its core business. Only after achieving leadership should it think about the expansion. The second principle here is avoiding the short term distractions. Companies should not chase every new trend or fashionable opportunity. Instead, they should reject business that are outside their core competence and focus on creating sustainable long term value. A strong core business is built on the four pillars, and the four pillars are operational excellence, distribution leadership, innovation, and brand power. These are the main strong core business pillars. Once the core business becomes strong, the company should follow disciplined capital allocation instead of investing in unrelated business like hotels, financial service, or random diversification. Capital should be used to strengthen the core business. The example from the book can be the Asian Paint. The Asian Paint was completely focused on its paint business rather than diversifying its business into different segments or sectors. So from this, we can understand that the every business should first focus on their core business, core part, and then they should think about expanding. The result of this strategy is higher operational efficiency, consistent earning profit growth, higher return on invested capital, that is ROIC, and greater long-term shareholders' wealth. In conclusion, the biggest lesson from the unusual billionaire is that extraordinary companies do not succeed by doing many big things. They succeed by doing one thing exceptionally well and then compounding their success over the time. Thank you. Now I would like to hand over to Ritika.
Thank you, Pearl. So, innovation in Unusual Billionaire is a much broader concept than just creating a new product. Sir Saurabh Mukherjee sir explains that truly exceptional companies innovate across four dimensions. The first is the operational excellence. For example, we can see that Asian Paints has built India's one of the most efficient supply chain using the technology and data analytics, which help them to enable a faster delivery and a lower inventory cost compared to their competitors. The second is the product and material innovation. Companies like Page Industries, through the Jockey brand, has continuously improved their product quality, comfort, and design rather than competing only on the basis of price. Now, the third market creation is Pidilite. Company has didn't just expanded on the pricing power, but they have expanded their product, which give the customers comfort. And last is the customer centricity. These companies constantly focus on understanding the customer's need and helping them deliver a superior experience. So the book's key message is that the sustainable competitive advantage come from innovating across entire business and not just from a launching new product. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So the next slide is about brand. According to Sir Saurabh Mukherjee, a strong brand is an economic mode because it protects the customer's profit, because it protects the company's profit for decades. Now, it basically starts with customers' trust, which is built through consistent quality. Now, for example, we can say that consumers can buy Asian Paints, Pidilite, Fevicol without much of a hesitation because we have been seeing this brand and trusting them for ages. Now, this trust have been giving the company a pricing power which allows them to pass on the higher raw material cost without actually losing their market demand. Now, a strong brand also improves distribution strength. Retailers prefer stocking brands with high consumer demand, which makes it difficult for smaller competitors to gain a shelf space. Now, finally, brands can establish premiumization by launching high margin products. For instance, we can say that Asian Paints has successfully expanded into a premium range of its paint because customers have already trusted their brand. So the book argues that the strong brand is not just a marketing asset, but it also helps to create a long-lasting competitive advantage, product margins, and supporting the long-term growth. Now, I would like to hand over my slides to Shaklin.
Thank you, Ritika. Hello, everyone. My name is Shaklin Goodell, and today I will be presenting two topics from the book Unusual Billionaires: Architecture and Strategic Assets. First of all, what is architecture? Architecture simply means how a company is built and managed from inside. Now, let's look at the table on the top. These are 7 successful Indian companies, and each one built its organization in a different way. For example, Asian Paints focused on technology and employee empowerment. Berger Paint built a strong team with industry experts. Marico created a performance-based culture with a low hierarchy. HDFC Bank focused on strong system and integrity, and Astral Poly hired carefully and gave responsibility to capable people. Now let's move to the infographic on the left side. If we simplify everything what these companies did, it comes down to 4 simple ideas. Hire the right people, build a strong system, create a good work culture, and give employee ownership and accountability. Finally, let's look at the diagram on the right side. It shows that building a strong organization takes time. Companies first hire the right people, then build the strong system and develop a good working culture, and finally achieve long-term leadership. Now let's move on to next slide. My second topic is strategic assets. First of all, what are strategic assets? Strategic assets are special strengths that competitors cannot easily copy. These assets help a company to stay ahead for a long time. Now let's see in the middle of the slide. It shows that every company built different strategic assets, but all of them create one common result, a long-term competitive advantage. For example, Berger Paint developed an efficient manufacturing network. Marico created a strong distribution network and expanded internationally. Axis Bank built strong customer analytics and banking relationships. HDFC Bank created a low-cost CASA franchise supported by technology. Page Industries benefited from its exclusive jockey license, and Asian Paints built a strong dealer network. Finally, let's look at the key takeaways at the bottom. Although every company is built different strategic assets, the final outcome was same. They create sustainable competitive advantage that competitors found very difficult to copy. Thank you. Now my colleague Ashutosh will continue from here.
Thank you, Shaklin. So far, We have seen how these companies build strong foundations through focus, innovation, and organizational excellence. Now, I'll talk about what keeps them ahead of their competitors: capital allocation and competitive advantage. Let's see how smart entrepreneurs organize their resources through smart capital allocation. According to Mr. Saurabh Mukherjee, great companies are not just good at earning profits, they are even better at using their profits wisely. The companies in the unusual billionaire follow a simple rule: invest more in the business they already understand best. Instead of chasing new industries or risky expansions, they strengthen their core business through better technology, distribution, manufacturing, and processes. If they don't find good investment opportunities, they return money to their shareholders through dividends rather than wasting it on unnecessary diversification. This disciplined approach helps them maintain high ROCE and create long term shareholders' wealth. The book highlights disciplined capital allocation as one of the key reasons these companies consistently outperform others. Let's see how these companies applied this philosophy. Can we move on to next slide? Although these companies operate in different industries, they all followed the same principle: strengthen your competitive advantage instead of expanding blindly. Asian Paint did it by investing in technology and its distribution network instead of entering unrelated businesses. Same Berger Paints adopted this by expanding in its manufacturing capacity to improve efficiency. Marico exited its underperforming Kaya business and focused on its successful FMCG brands. Same way, Page Industries used internally generated cash to grow and rewarded shareholders with dividends. HDFC Bank and Axis Bank invested heavily in technology, branches, and customer relationships before expanding aggressively. Astral Poly continued investing in manufacturing and complementary products that supported its core business. The lesson here is simple: successful companies don't invest everywhere, they invest where they already have an edge. Can we move on to next slide, please? The book explains competitive advantage using IBS framework, which stands for innovation, brand, architecture, and strategic assets. Innovation means continuously improving products and processes. Brands build customer trust, which gives companies pricing power. Architecture refers to strong system, culture, and employee capabilities that competitors cannot easily copy. Strategic assets include things like distribution networks, technology, licenses, and long term customer relationships. When these four factors come together, they create a strong competitive moat. Competitors may copy a product, but they cannot easily copy years of trust, system, and execution. These enduring advantages allow companies to sustain superior financial performance over long period of time. To conclude, the biggest lesson we learn here is that long-term success doesn't come from rapid expansion. It comes from disciplined capital allocation and building strong competitive advantages. The companies listed in the unusual billionaire focused on doing a few things exceptionally well, and the disciplined approach is what made them market leaders for decades. Now, I would like my friend Danesh to continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Myself, Danish Malik, and I will be explaining the challenges faced by different industries. The first industry is paints and chemical industry. This industry requires high sales volume and strong distribution network. The main trap is low profit margin and managing thousands of products, making efficiency very important. The second industry is entry level consumer goods, consumer industries. This market has many competitors selling similar products. The biggest challenge is retaining customers, as many shift to premium brands over time, weakening the company's brand. The third industry is banking and financial services. Banks offer similar financial products, making competition intense. Strict RBI regulations and changes in the cost of capital can significantly affect profitability. The fourth and last industry is industrial plastics. Companies must convince customers to adopt to new products like CPVC pipes while competing with the established brands. Building strong distributor and plumber networks is also very essential. The conclusion is that the main takeaway is that every industry has different obstacles, and companies that manage them effectively gain a competitive advantage. Can we move to the next slide? This slide shows that the cycle that helps successful companies grow continuously. The first step is build moat. First, the company builds a strong competitive advantage such as trusted brand, technology, or an efficient distribution network. The second step is generate cash. This advantage helps the company earn consistent profit and generate strong cash flow. The third step is reinvest in the core business. The company then reinvests its profit into improving products, expanding operations, and strengthening its competitive position. The fourth step is return the surplus. After funding growth, any excess cash is returned to the shareholders through dividends or share buybacks. Conclusion from this slide is that a strong competitive advantage creates higher return, and smart reinvestment helps those returns grow over time. This cycle is what drives long-term business successes. Thank you everyone for your time, and we hope you found this presentation insightful. Thank you.